started to realize as I was getting the rafters up that once they hit the angled section that started going back, the rafters were at a different slope. And I originally had put the whole ledger across the house on one level, all the way straight across. Well, you can't do that if there's any deviation on how far away the house is from where the rafters are going to be leaning. That affects the slope of these rafters here. So I called Bob the architect who did our drawings and realized that what actually happens is that the ledgers step down as they get closer to account for the slope. So I had to rip off all of those. I got all the way to about here. I did about 8 rafters, had to take them all down. Took off the ledger there, took off this one. I'm going to have to take off that other angled one there. And then was able to save this last one because I used this one as the high point. It works out to about a 212 pitch, which is 2 inches. It raises in height for every 12 inches the length.
It's just traffic cop. This one calls for breaking laws. That's all.
Plans calls for blocking in between. These are actually called lookouts. The last parts of the rafters are connected to the end rafters with these 2x8s, it's called lookouts, and then blocking in between all of those. And we got started here. That's the end rafter, the fascia board there, and so we've got a couple more to do right there. All right, this is Jim Beaver, the inspector, come to inspect my framing here, and got a couple notes for me.
Because of the concentrated loads coming down because of the microlam above, we need to have continuous trimmers from header to sill plate.
Okay.
So we need to remove the sill that breaks the king set.
Okay.
Or excuse me, trimmer.
And then just have one long trim piece down.
Yes.
And then have this butt trim off those ledgers because they're going to stick out from the roof.
Right.
So trim that one off and the one over here. Right up there. Okay.
You also are going to need to do, there's some things that aren't quite done, but you can't have a plate break within 4 inches of each other. 4 feet, excuse me. So this plate break and this plate break are less than 4 feet apart.
Oh boy.
It's okay. You put a piece of strap across it.
Oh, okay.
Cakewalk. All right. Now we
So metal strapping?
Just a metal strap.
And how should it go?
It will go horizontally across here, and 2 16-penny nails on each side of the break. The purpose is, if you had 2 pencils, two pencils you glued together, you wouldn't glue them together like this, you would glue them together like this.
Right.
And that's what you're doing, you're gluing them together like this.
And it's
they have
not
no
stable.
strength.
It's not stable enough.
Right.
That's
cool.
Okay.
They're all the same.
I'm going to sign off here. Thank you, Jim.
Squeeze your gas, I mess my body string. I can't get enough of it. Baby, I could dance. Watch them squeeze your gal. Can't get enough of it. Baby, over again. I could.
Well, we have finished putting the OSB on the walls. The roof is all tied up too. And got all the windows covered as well. Okay, well, we're getting ready to seal up this roof. We've got the underlayment here that's going to go underneath the shingles. But before we do that, I want to seal up some of these gaps here. There's going to be flashing that goes over this anyway, just like this, and it's going to go over the underlayment and the shingles. But just to be sure, I'm going to get a lot of these cracks rubberized caulking that will flex with any sort of movement, and seal these areas nice and tight. So we've got that sealed up, and here we go. This stuff is self-adhesive, unlike the regular felt paper that you put under most shingles, which has to be nailed down. This stuff, paper rips off here, and it's very, very sticky underneath here. So we're going to start our first course, and it's going to overlap the edge by about a ½ inch. On top of that, we're going to put a drip edge. Okay, we got all of the underlayment down. The next step is putting some flashing on the end, some drip edge. And so what we've done is we've measured out where the proposed fascia is going to be, and then we'll snap a line. Okay, we've got our drip edge up. We found the center of our roof and snapped the center line going all the way up. And now we're going to start our starter course, which is basically the shingles cut in half. And they're going to hang over about a 1/4 inch from the drip edge.